When did you know you were
just
onto
a tiny
something
bit.
with them? Or that you knew that at least
Like this was kind
it's
of
gonna
good.
gonna go off and then be popular.
I knew, like, honestly, I knew from the beginning if it got through Bravo, if Bravo said yes to it, it was going to be good because it was easy to put together.
Okay.
You know, I've done stuff before where it was hard because you're trying to force it. And this just, every piece came together like a puzzle, like you're not fighting for anything. Like, you know, we casted and, you know, they didn't like 2 people. So like, go find 2 other people. And then I just went and found 2 other people who were a great fit, which were actually Mike and Gigi. Now that I remember.
Yes.
It was Mike and Gigi.
Yeah, remember that Bijan model we had?
I remember Gigi came to our office for the very first time. I texted her, I called her. She's like, what do you want? Like, that's how she answered the phone. I was like, okay, this bitch, come on down.
Yeah.
And she comes back to our office. She comes into the conference room. She had this Gucci bucket hat on, like this, rolling with this other girl, and like mad attitude, you know, mad Gigi shoulder protective self up. You know how she like protects herself. You know, and
I love it.
And I was like, what are you up to today? And she's like, going to the mall. I was like, it's like a Tuesday at like, you know, 2. I was like, okay, that's what you do. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And then she came and then I remember we were looking for someone else. I was like, Sammy, I need someone else. He's like, my friend. He was like, call. I know who you should call. I know who you should call. I know. Call my friend Mike Showhead.
Oh my God, yeah.
And so I remember driving on Wilshire and I called Mike's phone. I called Mike's phone and he answered. I was like, let's meet up and see what's going on. And then like,
and what
again,
was it like to meet him?
You know, that smile, you know, that charm that he has, that gorilla charm. You know, he's like that
His
big
little
meathead
eyebrow
gorilla,
flash.
but he's like all the, you know, this and that. And then I went and had a couple Shabbats at his parents' house, and his family's absolutely lovely. Like
Amazing.
They're so nice, so accommodating. So I felt so welcome to having Shabbat dinner at their house, and I was like,
Big
okay,
family.
yeah, that's a great. You know, I feel like when you have a good
Persian
deep family.
Jews, it's
And
not
a
a
beautiful
lot of-
turnout every
No, there's
Shabbat.
more Persian Jews in Los Angeles than.
Yes, no, but what I'm saying is like when you're putting that on a TV show, it's a story to be told that's not
Right,
the
a
common
Persian
story.
Jew, right,
Yes.
on TV.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that's
Oh,
what-
and of course, Sammy was the other one. I forgot. Sammy was a big.
Of course.
Yeah.
One of the main first. Like Sammy made it kind of all the way through until the end, until the season started.
I think the reason that Sammy didn't stick around was because he wasn't.
His true self.
Yeah, he was.
And
He
was
tried to
working
put a show on.
And he's trying
It's-
to work tons of side deals and shit too.
Yeah,
He's
he was
He
being
wasn't being
Sammy, but he
himself.
wasn't himself. Like in the interviews that we did in the casting tape, that was the real Sammy because it was him and I
you.
on his deck hanging out talking
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
And then once it was like real, he had to become Sammy, the you
Yeah.
know, the
The
big
builder.
player, developer guy, and
Yes.
he was never vulnerable. And that was where why it didn't go to season 2 for him because he
Got
was
it.
never he had to be you know, I was going to say a Persian male, but I don't want to say that. You know,
No.
he had to be what he thought success looked like rather than being vulnerable. And that's why the Kardashians work so well because they've been vulnerable and shown themselves and been honest since the beginning. Regardless if you like them or not or believe everything they're doing and this and that. I mean, they let all the drama of their family life up on TV from day one. And that's why people connected to them.
Yes.
You know?
And the moments in season 1 of Shahs, you saw my mom and me, and the dynamic between us was so universally, globally relatable.
Yeah.
Because even though we're Persian, there are people of every single culture and nation in this world that have a mom or a grandma or an auntie or a sister that is leaning in and putting pressure on their daughter or granddaughter or niece to like all the societal pressure and critique. And, you know, any culture, like anytime I will meet somebody, it's always at an airport where I get to meet someone from, you know, every continent.
Yeah.
And when
cool.
they tell me the way that, you know, the dynamic helped them get through their thing, because they're like seeing me get tortured by my mom and going through it.
It's so relatable.
Yeah.
It's so relatable.